Hello everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of the FKME podcast, and I am with
Tom Baker.
So, Tom Baker, I've asked you to come on this for a specific reason, to talk about KINK.
Yes.
Yeah. So the reason I've asked Tom to come on to talk about KINK is because you have been involved in KINK for how many years?
About 15.
15 years. Yeah. So you're actually longer than I realised. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. Instead of me doing everything, you talk about you.
Yeah, okay. So I am now currently a professional dominant content creator rigger. So a rope sort of person, for those who don't know what a rigger is. And more recently, a BDSM event organiser.
Cool. So, yeah, when you said rigger, it does kind of sound like you're on the job working in, like, scaffolding or something.
Or on the ships or something, yeah.
Yeah. So, how long have you been doing the rigger side?
Probably about 10... I got into the rope scene about 10 years ago, and then it took me a while to start learning to do the rigging to tie.
Because I was going to say, when it comes to like the kink rope stuff, some people are into like the whole shibari pattern stuff and tying people up, but I think rigging, it's like that suspension style, or is it not?
I think the word rigger is all encompassing for just tying,
just like rope.
But yeah, there's all sorts of.
Just want to work on a pirate ship and do all, all the knots.
Yeah.
Did you actually? Yeah, speaking of which, is that where you've learned quite a lot? Do you kind of like look at like knots and stuff? Or
Boy Scouts.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about then what got you into kink play. You said you've been doing it for 15 years, you've been involved in it, but were you interested prior?
For sure.
Yeah?
I think with a lot of people it stems from childhood.
Okay.
I've got memories from childhood of things.
Okay, so explain, go into that a bit more. So how can that happen have you spoke to other people about this? And have you found,
for sure, yeah.
So when you say it stems from childhood, do you find that's for a lot of people or just for yourself?
I think if you've known that you've been kinky for a long time, I think there's a lot of people who discover it a lot later in life and didn't necessarily realise they're into it. They might have gone to a swinging club and seen a kinky scene and gone, oh, that's quite cool. Whereas I just knew from the start.
Ah, okay.
I had various thoughts and was like, yeah, this is...
Go on then, so explain that side. Because with me, it was a later in life thing. So explain your...
I suppose it's similar to like understanding if you like men or women. You know, you get urges. So if you see someone with a cane, for example, when I was at school, caning was out. But when I
was going to say you're not that old.
But when there was stories about someone being caned in front of the class or something, my teacher did say about that. Billy, a few years ago you'd have been dragged out here and caned in front of the class.
Go on, do it, bring it back.
And I remember thinking like, that would be really hot to watch.
Yeah.
Like, drag him out and let's do it now. Can I have a go?
Yeah. So obviously you were saying you're a dominant. So say if that was to be the thing, like the teacher, we'd have dragged someone out for cane, were you like, oh, I want to see it? Or were you like, oh, no, I want to do it? Or
both, everything. Yeah. I actually started life more submissive. I think
you wanted to be the caned. You wanted to be the canee.
I don't think I quite understood my thoughts because I'm talking like 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't then. Then it was just the idea of the cane. It was like, oh, that's cool. It wasn't a sexual thing. I imagine it was just like, oh, that's funky. But yeah, I personally, I didn't have any kink desires till I was an adult.
Yeah,
I had no inkling at all. Maybe I watched wrestling as a kid and obviously I do like chokes and stuff like that. And that. But yeah, but I had no clue. Like your story then, you were saying some people, they go to a club. That was mine. I actually went to a club and I was outside in the smoking area because that's where you get all the best conversations. Sure. Don't smoke now, by the way. But it was someone talking about the kink night and I was like, do you know what? That sounds quite liberating. And I myself, I'm more dominant, but when I was getting into it, again, I went down the more submissive route because I felt that was the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Because you end up playing with people who know what they're doing, and then you're like, oh yeah, I could do that side. So.
Or in some cases, learn how not to do it.
Well, yeah.
Which is also true.
Yeah. To be fair, yeah. So one of the conversations I've had with you in the past, and it was to do with rigging. It's like there is dangers, like you're saying, how not to do. so obviously rigging, you were saying about, it was a long time ago we had this conversation about people doing like knots or tying wrong or suspending people wrong and how dangerous it can be.
Yeah.
Tell us a few like things that like people need to be wary about, not just rigging, but things that can go wrong in kink play.
In general, kink.
Yeah, like some things you've heard or seen or witnessed, or just some advice you want to give people.
There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, could go on all day, but one that's quite common if we go to the kink club or swinging club scenario, it's quite often you see a St Andrew's cross, and someone will get put against a wall or against a cross with their arms, the wrists.
By the way, speak up a little bit louder.
The wrist fastened high, above their head, which can induce fainting. It's very common.
To be fair, that's really common. You see it all the time.
And it's very common for people to faint, and people don't realise that. They'll strap them up in big, thick leather wrist straps, carabiner, fastened up to those, and then start doing whatever it is.
Because it's a pretty standard thing. You see it all the time, don't you?
Yeah, and then a small person, well, I'm not that small, but let's say I had you like that, and you faint, I'm going to struggle to pick you up to then undo the clip to get you out. So it's useful to use like Velcro straps or have little zip ties to fasten the carabiner on, so you can always have safety shears.
Oh, okay.
And then you just snip them and get you down. But yeah, that's quite a common thing.
Just drop to the floor.
And then the rope side is understanding the anatomy.
Yeah, so explain that then. So with the hands being up there, why would that cause more of a faint?
Blood pressure.
Yep.
Is quite the common cause. Poppers is the other one. Like people just abusing poppers and not necessarily understanding what it can do to them.
I was having that conversation with you earlier. It was literally just before we started this pod about, I went to an event and there was just poppers in the air and I wasn't even doing any poppers. And at the end of the night, my pupils were... So for me to feel like that without even doing them, like, could you imagine if I was sniffing them as well?
Yeah, and it can make you feel very ill and then faint as well.
And as well, I spoke to a friend 2 days ago. You should never take like Viagra or Cialis or anything like erection enhancing as well as doing poppers. Yeah. And people don't know that. Get into this kink play, get tied up. Some poppers are being like, you could get like the gas mask things, can't you? And they don't know that person's done any tablets for enhancing. And boom.
I find it very alarming that a lot of people don't know that about the Viagra and popper scenario. And when I have people to come and session with me, I send them a little question list and
give them a questionnaire,
a little thing like what do you want to do. But one of the things, once I've got that and send the instructions out to you to be here this time, is do not take Viagra before you turn up at my session, or any drugs, to be fair. Yeah. It's just one of my things, but it's for that reason, because...
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I didn't know. I went to an event and actually they got everyone kind of there and done like a rules kind of thing, which you never see either.
There are no rules.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy. They kind of went through like, everyone just be aware of this, like consent, like no means no and stuff like that. Which obviously is quite a big part of the kink community, kind of saying the whole safety and all that sort of stuff. So any other stories about things that like you've seen go wrong or heard?
I mean, I spoke about the cross there. I have seen that go wrong on multiple occasions.
That's quite scary for all involved.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think. I've seen quite a lot of stuff. Things falling, so furniture falling over. So
while someone's on it.
Yeah. So if you're in a club, I suppose you just assume that the furniture is safe, but you don't know what the person's done behind it. It's like when you hire a car, or you jump into a car as the driver. Yeah. You should be checking that it's safe and it's got its wheels on and all that, and you can drive it. So it's the same with furniture, to make sure it's stable before you start strapping someone to it. And
that's true, because
falling over.
For the past 6 months, that piece of BDSM kit could have been rattled and abused and had so many people on it. Yeah, and it might have been on its last legs. So
the leg goes, and then someone's head's hitting the ground, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I feel like an idiot. But yeah,
I've never thought of that, to be honest. But yeah, it makes sense, because I've gone on to like put people on those big wheels and stuff, and you know, you got to check they're strong
Just give it
enough.
a little test first.
Yeah, just spinning someone upside down and
Yeah.
But all right, so instead of let's looking at the negs of like things gone wrong, let's look at like kinks in general. So the basic thing that most people will kind of know is the term BDSM. This was it acronym? Is that the right way to say it?
Acronym,
Yeah, acronym. What does BDSM mean?
There's sort of two versions.
Okay.
Bondage, dominance, discipline.
Is it double D?
Yeah, double D and double S. So bondage, dominance, discipline, sadomasochism, and submission. So you basically have the dominance and the submission thrown in, or it can just be bondage, discipline, sadomasochism.
Yeah. Okay.
The proper version is the long one.
So this is the thing when people, because what does each one stand for? Can you go into that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're trying to tell the listeners.
it's a bondage.
Yeah. What's bondage?
Oh, okay. So like tying someone up with
Yeah.
with restraints or anything, cling film, pallet wrap, zip ties, leather belts,
Any type of restraining.
hoods, gags. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so let's go into the one. So you got, with the new version, the double Ds, was it dominance, you said?
Dominance, so that's just what it is. As in
Yeah.
someone is dominating a submissive.
Yep. And then there's another D.
Yeah.
What was that one?
Discipline. So
That links to dominance, though, doesn't it? Is there any need? Oh, it could be
it's
receiving.
just,
it can be actually on the submissive side of it, can't it? Discipline.
yeah,
So
so both, and it's just more about the acts of what you're doing. So
Yeah.
people automatically think about caning,
Yep.
caning and whips and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily have to be disciplined in that way. It could be getting them to right lines,
Yeah.
stand in the corner,
Yeah.
Self-discipline, all that sort of stuff. And then say the masochism is just one person is the sadist, the other person is a masochist.
So what do they mean?
One likes to inflict pain, and not just likes to get sexually aroused by inflicting pain, and then the masochist will get sexually aroused by receiving. Or you have people who like both.
Yeah.
Switches, as we call them.
Well, there we go.
It's fascinating.
So the reason I want to go into that is that it used to be back in the day, because obviously you've been this probably almost as long as me, actually. I have been in it longer than I realised. Oh, I'm getting old now. It's the greys on my beard that I was showing now.
Time just flies.
But it used to be the whole, are you into BDSM? It was never the term, are you into kink? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And everybody, yeah, I'm into BDSM. And then people say, oh, about this, or I'm not into that. So you not everyone's into all aspects of BDSM, are they? That's what I find.
No.
But I think that's why the term now is, the question is, into kink. I think it's changed.
It's a lot more broad,
Yeah.
I think.
Exactly. And there's all sorts of kinks out there that I don't think relate to any of those.
Yeah, because people get confused as well about fetishes and kinks
Yeah.
as well. So it kind of... I think from the person who's entering into this scene, it can be very confusing. There's so much to learn, and I don't think we ever stop learning. I probably only know a small amount from what I could know.
Yeah. And like you said, people are always going to be forever learning because there's new things coming out. I think, there's new devices and equipment
New
being...
fetishes as well.
Yeah, new fetishes. And it's just like, wow. And I think that's quite good for people who are explorative, shall we say, because there's a lot more people now who are willing to try things. Shall we go on the spectrum of like the most out there-ish things that you've like came across, whether it be online, as in chatting to people, not taboo, just most like, oh, that's different, or even witnessed. Like, if you've seen something at a club, because I've seen something that I was like, whoa.
I mean, because I do this all the time, I get some crazy things come across my desk, as it were.
Yeah.
Can I talk about a custom request I had?
Yeah. So this will be to do with you making content.
Yeah.
Okay.
So someone asking for a very specific thing, and I was like, wow, yeah, I mean, sounds great, let's do it. So he wanted to be my personal boot cleaner.
Okay.
But his fantasy was outside of my front door in the little porch area. So he's assuming I've got this. Is like this little box where he gets kept naked in the box, and all of his, as in his words, all of his vitals taken care of. So he doesn't need to go to the loo anywhere. He doesn't need to be fed. It's all taken care of by this crazy machine.
Okay.
And then as I enter, or any of my friends enter, all they have to do is stick their boot through the little hole, and he will clean the boots. But not only that, there was some sort of electronic device connected to his genitals. So if you're not happy with the boot cleaning service, that you press this button. But this was a custom, so I had to talk about, bring the fantasy to life, essentially. I was just like, when he said about it, I was like, this is amazing. I love it.
Okay, so that's cool that you're quite excited, and you're like, oh yeah, I want to fulfill this fantasy for him. That's quite cool. Do you ever get things where someone, so obviously you do this real time and video and stuff like that. Do you ever get them where like the sub wants something, you're like, I'm just not into this? Do you still do it, or do you put on that, like, yeah, let's go for it, or do you just like, I can't do it?
No, I mean, everyone has to, or doesn't have to, but most people have hard limits, and I've got those listed on my website that, I
but
won't
even if it's
engage
not
in these things, but people, there's things that you're not necessarily listing that, like, can we do this? The kidnap one comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And whilst I am into that, I will do it, but the practicalities of it, and I like to go all in. If I'm going to kidnap you, you need to send me a lot of money for a start. And I'm going to bring you, and then me and you, I'm going to hire you, and we're going to get a van, and we're going to pre-arrange it, and we're going to do it properly.
Yeah.
Not them knocking on my door, and then I'm grabbing them by the neck, dragging them.
I could just picture you just like, crap. I can picture you just like showing up with an enterprise van.
I mean, it would be hot though if someone actually had the money, and I could
a proper
get
van.
Someone like you and be like, right, I'll give you some money. Come on, help me.
Get the balaclavas on.
Go and do a proper kidnap scene.
Yeah. To be fair, the amount of people who are into that as well, it's quite common. But like, I'm not here to kink shame. Like, we can find them weird and not shame them. I'd say that's fair. It's weird to us, but I'm not gonna.
Yes, I think a lot of it's like, I'm not really. I don't really.
But it's like,
that.
Is that like microphilia? You know what I'm on about? The giant thing.
Yeah, it's a new.
If people are into that,
fetish.
All power to them. But you're saying it's new, but I have heard like so many people are into it, where they pretend to be like that big, like tiny, less than a centimetre tall, and you're this giant, and they just want to be like either like put in your pocket or put in your shoe or swallowed. And I'm just like, and I've had people ask for videos for it and stuff, but I'm not even just on about porn. People are genuinely into this, regardless of watching it on content or just acting it out. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not shaming it. All power to it.
No, it's just you like, it's not really my thing.
It's a bit out there for me.
Yeah, I've considered making some of it, but it's known quite a lot as giantess.
Yeah,
and
so that's
why there isn't giant content. It's all giantess, and I'm like,
one of the best things I've ever seen is a guy I know, and he's massive. I mean, he is like 300 odd pounds, if not more, and he's just built.
Yeah.
He went to one of those miniature towns.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
There's content right there.
Yeah, so what's it called by the miniature towns? They build them up to like...
like a model village.
Yeah, model village, yeah. And he comes and he starts storming through it like Godzilla.
Yeah.
And he's like, Ruah! And he had like little people and stuff. And I just seen this video pop up and I was like, no way, I can't believe he did that. I just don't think I could have the balls for it.
No, well, I mean, that would sell. And the new one, I think it's very similar, but they call it Vor. Have you heard of that?
No, what's that?
So it's kind of the same, that it's like the giant thing, but it's more about cannibalism.
Yeah,
so
they're eating them.
Yeah, so the Vor is, I believe, the actual eating of the tiny.
Yeah, they definitely watch like Jack and the Beanstalk and the BFG and all that when they were kids.
See, it all stems from childhood.
Like, whoa, do me a bit of that.
Disney do not know what they've done.
No, exactly. Trying to think of any other like really out there. Like, one thing I seen, it was in a club. It was these dominatrices. They got their submissive to whittle his own butt plug out of ginger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he'd done that. Figging it's called then, isn't it? And then out of ginger and popped it up his bum, and he was in agony. I was just like, oh my god. Yeah,
it's not that bad.
Not really. Oh, really?
Do you know what? As a dominant, I like to test things.
Okay.
So I typically won't do something to somebody unless I've tried it myself. So
you've done that?
Yeah. I tried it just to think, oh, you little pussy, it's not that bad. I probably wouldn't tell them I've done it, but I know what's going on.
Yeah, but like at the same time, I mean, I don't think this is that extreme, but it's still like, whoa, they made floggers out of nettles. And they were and I was like, oh, but I get it. I was like, if you're into that, the pain side, and I was like, and it's not permanent. If anything, you don't have to flog them hard. You're just getting stung with with a fan. But it's really stinging.
And it's going to last for days, isn't it? Unless he's got like an absolute holdall full of dock leaves.
Yeah. But I was quite shocked. I was like some people really think outside the box in the kink world, don't they?
Yeah, but then they forget the safety against anaphylactic shock.
Yeah.
People don't really think about that.
No, they wouldn't.
Throwing nettles all over, and then someone's now needing an EpiPen.
Yeah.
It's like, damn.
Yeah, there's me on the other side of the room having a hay fever mode. I didn't think of anyone else in the room, let alone the submissive.
But yeah, it's quite a creative space of doing things. Stuff.
No, it is. It's cool. It's fun. I find the people who are involved in it are very quite open to the socialising as well. I think the kink world is very social. Do you find that? Or
certainly the area I hang out in, the Derby area, and I go to Celestial Studios a lot. They've got it's the name of the brand, I guess, is Circus Maximus. Fantastic. It's an amazing thing, and they have all sorts of great performances. In fact, I'm performing for them actually in April. But
what are you performing?
An interrogation scene.
Oh.
Yeah. So they've run
light in the eye.
They run them, I think they've gone to 4 a year, but they're amazing. But the like you were saying, the social scene there is second to none from what I've seen. It's fantastic. Cool. And people come from all over the place.
So these performances, are they more like, here's a show, or are they more of a workshop to learn?
Definitely not workshops.
Okay.
They range from being quite extreme performances.
Yeah.
I can remember a barbed wire suspension.
Ooh.
Hooks suspension, but then other people, I remember a lass who was doing the hair suspension, like aerial hoop type stuff, but making it kinky, so she might, either naked she's doing this, or people doing dildoing, I don't know. And then,
so I've got like all these ideas now popping into my head, and my brain is like ADHD and off into like, so sorry about that. My mind is wandering like, this is crazy.
And I come up with this idea. I was like, can I do this performance? I wanted to do it for ages. So an interrogation scene, as if it's like military. Someone's been found out that they're a spy, so interrogate them, hang them upside down, and then waterboard them. Bring them down, waterboard them, and then start dunking them in a bucket while I'm like, tell me who it is, tell me who's paid you, sort of thing.
Wow.
But make it really intense with good lighting, really quiet.
And this is in front of
spotlights. This is in front of the crowd, yeah.
I hope you get a camera to rig that up with.
We plan to film it, yeah.
Yeah, because that'd be really, really cool. Just like, yeah, I just think, but do it as well if you're allowed. Like, have a second camera behind the audience, because then they're just shadows. And it'll be like, it'll look really funky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got all these heads, and you can't work out any detail because they're just shadows.
It might not happen. We've got to go and obviously rehearse it. There's a lot that can go wrong. Risks
of course.
And all that sort of stuff. So we need to rehearse it, make sure it's practical. But if we can pull it off, it's going to be pretty good, I think, I hope.
Fingers crossed.
Who doesn't want to do an interrogation scene?
I've never heard of anything like that or seen anything. Like, this is now like... is it an audition for BBC Three or something? You might get work out of this.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know. They might like, this is brilliant.
It's just how my mind goes.
Yeah. We could end up seeing you next year or two on BBC Three, I think. Or Channel 4,
I could do that.
But no, it's really good. That's actually really impressive. Sorry, my mind's really gone to that now, this interrogation. So, have you... Without naming names, because obviously you won't want to do that to people, have you had any mishaps yourself? Like, obviously, like you do medical play from what I remember as well. There must be some points, because I've had a mishap in that.
Yeah. Mishaps happen all the time. And to be honest, it's how we learn. I think it's how we become better, because I don't think we learn without making these mistakes. And breath play is probably one of the most dangerous things you can do. And I'd probably say it's the biggest killer within the kinks/BDSM scene.
So what can go wrong there? Just fainting?
Things will pass. Now, it quite often happens when someone's doing it alone. young kids potentially putting belts around the neck and hanging themselves in the wardrobe because they haven't quite understood what it is, but they're like, oh, this turns me on for some reason. But as you get older, and you continue to doing it, so self-breath play is very dangerous. But I do breath play to other people, and a mishap I had, it was actually during a filming scene. And the problem is, you film as well, so you'll understand that you're thinking about the camera, the lighting and angles and all this sort of stuff. So I had a lot going on, plus I was managing the scene. And I put this, the gas mask on, screwed the tube on to a rebreathe bag, which is, for those that don't know, it's a sealed bag, and you breathe into it and then breathe out. So you re
so you don't carbon dioxide
thing, yeah. But on the bottom of it, it's got a valve. Yeah. So when you put it on, really, the valve should be open, so then they can start breathing. But because I had too much going on, I'd put it on, and I also had an e-stim going on stuff. And I started doing that, and I glanced around, and he was like, I was like, oh shit! Like, it was probably about 20 seconds. But he panicked, and I was like, oh. And it was a mishap, and I was like, right, slap on the wrist for me. I need to be. I'm kind of glad it happened because of what it taught me. Yeah. And it did frighten me a little bit, even though, like I say, it was 20 seconds. But it just shows you how quickly things can go wrong. Yeah. So I learned a valuable lesson from that.
Okay.
With breath play.
Well, yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
But there's probably things that go wrong all the time and different severities of stuff.
Well, mine, it was, is a speculum the one that goes up the back? No, yeah. It was, I was like, I really want to try that. That'd be really cool. Like, so someone used one on me. She was a femdom. And this is when I was in my learning days. Yeah. And she'd never done it as well. And it was like, both exploring this together.
I think I know where this is going.
The whole was sort of opened, it was like really awkward, but it was like, oh, well, cool. It's like, but the release. Yeah, so you knew where I was going there. Yeah. So she's obviously gone to close it, the entire thing's gone boom, and then in between, so in between the thing, I have never let out a scream like that ever. The most painful. I was just like, and she's mortified. Yeah. She's like, oh my God, what have I done? And luckily, I don't think there was, but it did cause issues for a while. Yeah. But the entire club must have heard how loud the scream was.
Club as well.
Exactly. So we're in a private room. There's no people watching, because we've done a lot of public stuff before, like in BDSM rooms and stuff like that. But this one's like, no, to do this, I want to go somewhere a little bit more private. But everyone must have heard me. She's like, screaming. I was like, and I was curling in a ball at the end of it. It was so painful. So yeah, that's my mishap. So,
do you know what? I think that probably happens a lot, because the reason I haven't done that as a top is because it happened to me as a submissive many years ago. Okay. And I think that's why I do not make a lot of the mistakes, because I've learnt from other people doing it to me.
Well, exactly. Like, me now as a dom, because like I said, I've learned through switching at the start. As a dom, I've never used one of them on someone, because I was like, I know what can happen. So you've never used one either? I thought you had.
Oh, I still use them.
Ah, okay.
But they've got the little twizzly
it's a slow thing, is it?
Thing, so you can do it by hand, but as you release it, you just want to make sure it doesn't completely close. So turn the little screw until it's open a little bit, because as soon as those two metal bits connect, then it's trapping skin. So I let it into there. Oh, okay. Until it's of a reasonable size to.
All right, so that's really educational for everyone listening or watching, because that is the most painful thing ever. If you ever want to do speculum stuff, don't ever fully close when inside.
Yeah, top tip.
Top tip.
Oh. I mean, or if you're a masochist.
Yeah.
Then yes.
Any other advice like this that we can give people?
Wow,
to avoid.
I'd say there's probably loads.
Let's dish it out. So let's think of another one where
sounding.
Okay, I've give that a bash and I didn't really like it. So what could go wrong? What's your tip?
Right, so you may not like it because it wasn't done well, perhaps. One tip is people just don't clean them properly. They just think you get this thing, this. So if you don't know what sounding is, it's a metal rod that you place down the urethra. Yeah. Or it can go inside a woman as well. I don't know if you know you can do female sounding.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And to get a urinary tract infection, the best thing to do is not clean it.
Yeah, I imagine.
So it's likely to happen, but a lot of people don't. They just grab it and then start shoving it down. So you should clean them with alcohol wipes. I actually go a step further, and I'll boil the sounds and then put them into a metal tray on a piece of blue roll. Not and
that is medical play, isn't it? So you're doing it medically.
Then I'll give them a clean with an alcohol wipe, and then really you should be using lube that's in a sachet, because if you've got lube in a pot, then you don't know where that's been, so it's not necessarily sterile.
It's open to the air, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly. So if you use a little sachet and just put it through the sachet, and then you can crack on. So that's probably the top tip, is to make sure you're using alcohol wipes, cleaning them.
Yeah, I probably did this wrong.
And going slowly. And I've actually found that the thinner they are, you would think if it's a really thin sound, it would not be as painful. But I've found that they're more painful.
Yeah.
And then you get a little, obviously the really big ones are going to be, but it's sort of good around 6 mil.
Yeah, I was actually, my hand was tensing harder onto this microphone as you're talking about it, because I remember, I was like, it just doesn't sound nice.
I would try it again with someone who has got a good idea what they're doing.
Oh, I give it a go. It wasn't bad the first time. I was just like, yeah, this ain't for me. It's not great. It's not comfortable. That was the main way. I was like, it's not comfortable. This does nothing.
I suppose it can feel uncomfortable. It's something you need to get used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, we were talking about medical play. I think it's sounding something that can...
Yeah.
It's things that can go wrong.
So, all right, so that's quite a good advice for sounding. Let's think of another one.
Anal play.
Yeah.
I mean, I do that in the medical environment, not just basic, but I don't know what we can talk about on this.
You can talk about, if you want to talk about poo, it's poo. Poo comes out your bum.
So we like to talk about anything.
Yeah.
No rules.
No rules.
Yeah, I mean...
well, I'd say don't go in the taboos.
So fisting is where I was going with this.
Okay.
People think that they can just go straight into fisting, but, it's the type of lube. Different gloves can have different sensations. Building it up.
Would you always recommend wearing a glove, because you don't always see it?
Well, interesting. No, I don't think you need to, but I play with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I just do that for my own safety and the people I'm playing with safety. Plus, quite a lot of people are not that clean. But if you've got a partner and you trust them and you're in it, then why not?
Yeah. Clean, you're on about excrement here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, why not? But I think also latex gloves can feel nice, if they're all lubed up and can glide in. Probably
I had
the skin of that.
Not anal based, but I had actual massage by like someone who goes. They wanted, because I get massages all the time, and this is like, you can do hot content erotic massage. And this person I've done it with many times, so it wasn't just because I just don't want to touch your skin. They were like, I want to do it with black latex gloves because it looks cool on camera. It felt so cool. It was just a massage, and it was only the change of the glove, and it made the entire massage feel different. So I can imagine, like you're saying, for someone's bum, it will have that effect.
Yeah, it can make a massive difference, particularly if someone's. I don't know, if it's their thing as well, they can probably feel more relaxed knowing that it's someone in all the rubber or whatever.
Yeah, come in a biohazard suit.
But again, the latex allergy is a thing that I thought was common knowledge, but a lot of people seem to forget about that as well.
Yeah, I do come across people with latex allergies every now and again. It's not as common, but I always have the latex-free condoms just in case and stuff.
I wear latex, and I didn't think I had an allergy, but I recently visited Invincible Rubber to talk to them about coming to my event. And when I was in there, their shop is obviously filled with rubber, and I started feeling asthmatic and I don't know. And then my eyes started itching, and I was like, I don't know why. Like, have I got hay fever coming on or something? And I left, and then I was driving home, and I thought, that must have been all the rubber. It must be a latex thing. So I think maybe, there's different levels of how you can
it could have been
be affected.
It could have been a powder, because I got this suit. No, it's not rubber. It was not an expensive thing. And I put it on and looked amazing. And then I took it off. I only had it on 20 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, and my skin was just red everywhere. Yeah. And I went in the shower and it went worse. because I didn't know that. Going in a warm shower will open up your pores, and your body's just going to grab more of it, isn't it? So, yeah. So I was like, great. So really, when you have an allergic reaction, anyone who has this issue, so this is the tip. If you have an allergic reaction to wearing rubber, latex, anything, cool shower. Keep it cold. Rinses it off without opening up your pores. But then it took me days for it to go away. But then I really wanted to wear this outfit. Really. So I washed it 3 times.
Yeah.
And I put it on and I didn't have the rash. So it wasn't the material. It was the powder or whatever they've done on the inside or whatever they used on it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it could be that you might be allergic to. It could be in that shop in the air.
Yeah.
So if you wear it,
I've
you
not
don't
come across that, to be honest. But that would be good for people to know. Yeah. Because you could have ended up throwing that away now.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you persisted.
No, I was like, I want to wear it. I look fit.
I mean, latex looks good.
Oh, seriously, when I showed my mate, because it was his event that I was going to wearing this thing, and I was like, you'll never believe this. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, that's so bad. Like, you can't believe it. Because he's like, you look great in it. I was
What
like,
is it, a catsuit?
It's like a short sleeve, short leg.
Suit.
Yeah. But it had like zips and stuff where you needed them.
In all, yeah.
And yeah, so I had that. But I combined it, so it was the surf suit, but I wore my knee pads, they put me knee pads.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously socks off, and it just really went well together, the knee pads with the surf suit. Yeah. So, yeah. Hey, speaking of which, this podcast is brought to you by FKME, ourselves.
In case you hadn't
noticed. Because, we sponsor ourselves because we're an awesome brand, and we sell knee pads, which is ideal for kink play, isn't it?
Yeah, puppies, or just crawling around on the floor.
But yeah, I mean, if you're bent over in positions for long periods of time, getting used and abused by your dominant, then knee pads are very handy.
I've told someone to bring some knee pads, actually, to my event. He was like, oh, can we play? I was like, make sure you bring knee pads, because he's going to be on his knees a lot. There
you go. And if you use discount code first order, all capitals, you'll get 10% off your first order.
I'll send that to him.
There you go. All right, so we'll go back into the pod. That was not planned, by the way. That was pure, utter spur of the moment ad, but,
why not?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so where were we? Talk about this outfit. Yeah, it just looks so cool and I had that reaction. So there's a pro tip. Everyone else having it. Any other mishaps that we can give a tip on?
Oh, God. I mean, there's so many. I'm just trying to think of stuff.
So, yeah, it must be something. Pure. I
mean, one piece of advice I would say to people is a big tip. I would say is just stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you do like foot worship stuff, then there's not a lot of skill level really in that. So that's fine. But if you're looking at whipping somebody, then there's a bit more skill. You need to understand the person's anatomy, and then there's negotiation that needs to go on and stuff. So if you don't really know what you're doing, that's my advice about stay in your lane, go and speak to somebody, get advice on it.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think the stay in your lane thing should be a thing because people want to learn. But then obviously that's what you're saying.
As in your lane of your knowledge and experience.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't know what you're doing,
learn first.
Go and just speak to somebody, go to a workshop, pay for lessons, whatever it is. So, like rope is something that you can. There's loads of like workshops. Quite inexpensive, £10 to go for a couple of hours workshops. And just go and learn what it is because things can go wrong. Same with whips, medical play, all of these things you can learn. If it's more in the like spanking cane, you can probably learn just chatting to someone or researching. Yeah. But that's what I mean by stay in your lane, your knowledge and skill lane, because people often go out of it, and that's when things happen. I think.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's actually quite good advice. So we're going to talk about one more thing.
Okay.
And you mentioned about events.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have an event now.
Yes.
So, what's it called?
The Pit.
The Pit. I think that's quite a good name, actually.
Yeah.
And what made you come up with that name?
It was with the person who owns the studio.
Okay.
Chatting with them about it. I thought of after dark events.
Yeah.
And then she actually came up with The Pit. a lady who owns the studio. So we were chatting about it, mainly because the venue has the pit.
Yeah.
And
I've actually heard about this pit.
Yeah, so that's what it was focused on. And we had a bit of a chat about it, and I was like, actually,
yeah. I heard there was an event, this is before your event, and they had like guys wrestling each other in the pit. It's like everyone was watching.
Yeah.
Does this ring a bell? Is this the kind of stuff that happens?
Not at my events, no.
But they were like, making guys wrestle, and so they had the spectators, and then like the bottom, so the one who got like who lost, he was getting bummed. And it was like consensual. It's like, we're fighting for toppers' rights. And I was like, that is hot.
Yeah, I mean, that hasn't happened at my event yet, but
make it happen.
You never know.
No, but it was really cool. It was like, obviously, it's playfully fighting wrestling, but it's quite, So there we go. I might come along. when she was telling me about it, because it was a woman who was at this one, showed me, I was like, whoa. But anyway, so I get the name now, the pit.
Yeah.
So your events, they're all male at the moment, aren't they? Are they
it will stay all male.
Yep,
this particular one, that's its ethos.
Yeah.
Mainly because there's a lot of events all over the UK in the kink sort of side of life, and there's a lot of kink like crossover with gender side, but there isn't really male, like an all male play event. There's a lot of socials, but where it comes to BDSM and playing, focused just on guys, there wasn't one. So I saw a gap in the market and put one together. But it had always been my dream to run an event. I'd thought about it for years, and I did start like a rope event. I did that, but it got a bit boring after a while. Whereas this, I think, can grow, and it can be a brand as well.
Yeah, because the pit, it's quite open, isn't it? In the sense of, like you said, you done a rope event. It's all about rope, But when you've got the pit, which is just an all-male kink event, it's like whatever you're into. Then, I bet you get all sorts.
And that's it, yeah. And it's we've got a very loose dress code because in the
I can imagine
you've got scally, so you can't put on the thing no trainers because scally is a kink.
Yeah.
But it's in context. So if you're wearing a suit and trainers, it doesn't really work unless you can convince me that's a kink. But most people who come are into it anyway, and they're going to be dressing appropriately in whatever kink they're into, whether it be punk, into the rubber, the leather, the military gear. All sorts
at the bar. You got a guy in a suit, a scally, you got a rubber guy, and you got someone who's just in a jockstrap. And you're like, you got a pup.
Furry.
Yeah, you got a furry. Then all of a sudden you just got a rubber gimp.
A daddy.
A daddy.
You can come as a daddy.
I tick that box now, I think. Is that grey coming through in the beard?
Yeah.
I've been fighting that for ages. Yeah.
But yeah, it's very open in that respect.
But yeah, no, it's. I think it sounds really cool. So if people want to come to this event, how long is the event, or does it change?
No, it's from 7 till 1.
So it's a night time.
6 hours, yeah. 7 in the evening.
So it's a good 6 hours of filth.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a bar there. There's an outrageous amount of kit. Like anything you can imagine, pretty much everything we've just discussed is all there.
Yeah.
2 medical rooms, an asylum type one, huge spaces.
Cool.
And then the people who fill it are just the ones who make the event. The people who come along are the ones, who are just... They're playing, and it's like kids coming into a sweet shop and like, oh my God, look at that there, let's play on it.
Well, unfortunately, I can't make the next one because we have discussed this, but I am definitely going to have to come to one of these. Where can people find it?
Good question, because we haven't got a website yet.
Okay.
You can find it through on Twitter. It's called The Pit Events, at The Pit Events, so same as on Blue Sky. And on FetLife, The Pit Events.
Okay.
But we've got a ticket page on Celestial Studios.
Okay, so
website.
they do it as well. They advertise for you. That's cool.
Yes.
You need to get your ass on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram now.
Yeah. But you need to get the pit there as well.
I've put a link in my Instagram onto. The problem is, there's so many different accounts, isn't there? I'm on Recon, FetLife, Instagram, and then I introduced the pit, and then it's got all of these. Yeah. Bang, bang, bang. So it's a lot to manage, and then someone emails you like, "Oh, you haven't answered me for so many days." Yeah, because we will.
Welcome to my world.
We will.
You end up getting bombarded, but I think. Get yourself on Instagram as well, but where can people find your Instagram if they're looking for that? Your Instagram?
For mine, Tom Baker UK.
Yeah, Tom Baker UK, and they can message you if they're interested in the pit.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to know about Instagram is because we're going to tag you, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so you can find him there. You can find him on Twitter, X,
Yeah, Tom Baker
FetLife, all that.
BDSM is my tag on everything, but for some reason Instagram wouldn't allow BDSM.
Oh, I wonder why.
So I have to be Tom Baker UK.
Well, you could
on
do.
that one.
You could probably do your new one, BDDS. You know, you could probably try that.
That'll confuse everybody.
Yeah, I know. It'd be mad.
But yeah, they won't allow
Just
that.
Tom Baker Dom.
In fact, the pit probably I couldn't
we'll
put
try it.
stuff on Instagram, could
Oh,
I?
we'll figure it out. But anyway, thank you for coming on.
You are very
It
welcome.
has been interesting. And yeah, anyone interested in the pit, go check them out. Anyone interested in knee pads so you can absolutely get abused by a dominant, then you know where to get them, fuckmemerch.com. And make sure you tune in to next week. Right, thanks.
Cheers.